I cannot understand.
I am Miss Floridinel Isaac from Polo National High School, and I am your virtual teacher for today. How have you been? I hope that you are all fine and feeling wonderful. Well, today is another day of learning. Join me in discovering a new set of topic in the English subject. Princess Jasmine has a problem dealing with understanding literature and the different literary approaches in literature. Let us help her discover these literary approaches and how they are used in critiquing literary selections. Are you ready? If so, hit the heart button. Before we start with our lesson, I'd like to remind you of the following. First, prepare your module and pen. Second, observe courtesy and respect all throughout the streaming. Third, type at the comment section your name, school, and section for your attendance. And fourth, for your questions about the lesson, you may ask during the question and answer part of the streaming. Let us first unlock the following terms to better understand the lesson for this day. Now, what you're going to do is you have to guess the following terms by supplying with the missing vowels. The first word means traditionally has been applied to those imaginative works of poetry and prose distinguished by the intentions of their authors. So, you may type your answer in 5 seconds and timer starts now. Up. If you answered literature, you are correct. Word number 2. The meaning is a particular conception or view of something to be done or method of doing it. So what's the word? You have your 5 seconds and your timer starts now. Time is up. The answer is theory. For the last word, the definition is that it is the analysis and judgment of the merits and faults of a literary or artistic work. What is the word? Type your answer. And you have your 5 seconds starting now. Alright, time is up. Awesome. If your answer is criticism, you are definitely correct. Now that we are able to unlock the meaning of these terms, we are now ready. Let us move forward. We will be discussing about literary approaches of our learning packet prepared by Mr. Eduardo Sioson and Mr. Carl Season. Let me present our lesson first with the most essential learning competency. Critique a literary selection based on the following approaches: structuralists or formalists, moralists, Marxists, and feminists. We will also be aiming to meet the following sub-skills. First, evaluate the text content, elements, features, and properties using a set of criteria. Next, evaluate the overall artistic value of the structure and elements of the selection, if it is a structuralist or formalist. And lastly, explain how the elements specific to a genre contribute to the theme of a particular literary selection. Let us review another set of essential terms which were discussed with you last time. The first one is literary theory, which means the body of ideas and methods we use in the practical treating or literature. Next is literary criticism, which means the practical application of the theories or methods to particular works of literature, and it is the actual use of a method to better understand a text's meaning. We have the following key terms to discuss for today. And to understand better, let us analyze these critical approaches used in literature one by one. So here they are. We have structuralists, Marxists, feminists, and moralists. But first, let us expound the meaning of literary criticism and critical approaches further. For literary criticism, it focuses on discussion, evaluation, and interpretation. Also, the classification can be by genre, analysis of structure, and the judgment of value. Literary criticism helps us to understand what is important about the text, the structure, the content, and how the text manipulates the reader. But first, let us expound literary criticism and critical approaches further. Literary criticism focuses on discussion, evolution, and interpretation. The classification is by genre, analysis of structure, and judgment of value. Literary criticism helps us to understand what is important about the text, like its structure, its context, and how the text manipulates the reader. Critical approaches, on the other hand, seek to give answers to these questions and also aid the readers in interpreting literature. Like, what do we read? Why do we read? And how do we exactly read? Now we are ready to find out how to examine the literary approaches by the use of these literary approaches in literature. Let us first discuss these literary approaches one by one. To start with, let us have structuralists. Structuralist focuses on the structure of language, not in art nor in the reader's mind. It interprets a text or part of a text by taking its language apart. Now, let us try to take a look at this example. Between the Lower East Side tenements, the sky is a snotty handkerchief. Take note of the following elements to examine. First is the word analysis, followed by word derivation. Also, we have to consider the sentence syntax, the rhythm, and the grammar of literature, that is, simile, metaphor, personification, and other figures of speech. Now, going back to the example given, can you identify the figure of speech that is used? Type your answer in the comment section. Now, if your answer is metaphor, then you are correct. Can you name other figures of speech that you still remember aside from metaphor? Type in your answer once again in the comment section. Let us now move forward to the next approach, That is the feminists. Feminist focuses on the roles, positions, and influences of women within literary texts. It focuses on the ways female consciousness is written by both female and male authors. Now let us set our focus on this example from the Lion King's scene. This scene is taken from the scene of Nala. Nala is the mother of Simba who couldn't fight the villain in the movie. Why do they need a man to save the day? It shows that the movie marginalizes women and demonstrates the sexism inherent in modern literature. So here are the things that we need to examine in the feminist approach. First, to understand the representation from a woman's point of view and analyze women's writing strategies in the context of their social conditions. Next, to employ a broad range of disciplines such as history, psychology, sociology, and linguistics. And lastly, to create a perspective that considers feminist issues. Are you still with me, dear learners? Can you follow? If so, hit the heart emoji. Let us proceed to the Marxist approach. Marxist emphasizes economic and social conditions. It examines literature to see how it reflects in the society. Oh, and don't forget, Karl Marx is the proponent of Marxism. Now let us try to analyze the example. Let me encourage you to read the passage from the work of William Wordsworth, I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud. Read it well with your well-modulated voice. The author places a value on the daffodils. It provides a wealth that is metaphysical and not material. It also turns to the nature of escaping from the world of capitalism and commerce. So here are the elements to examine for the Marxist approach. First, the way which dominant groups exploit the subordinate groups. And also, concerned with understanding the role of power, politics, and money in literary texts. We are almost at the concluding part of our discussion for today, dear learners. Stay attentive as we continue on the next. The fourth is the moralist approach. It judges the value of the literature based on its moral lessons or ethical teachings. It determines the worth of literature by encouraging the readers to do the right thing. So here are the elements to examine. It is ethically sound and encourages that virtue is praised. It evaluates the maturity, sincerity, honesty, sensitivity, and courage to literary texts. Examples are the stories from the Bible. What do we call these selections? Type your response in the comment section. Another is fable, which is a story wherein animals are the characters. Now, I want you to type below your favorite Bible story or fable. Still with me, dear learners? Hope you do so. At this point, I believe that you are ready to do a simple activity to test that you've learned a lot. Now, let us have our activity. You have to determine the statement if it is structuralist, feminist, Marxist, or moralist. You will be given 5 seconds to type your answer in the comment. Use the following to answer: smile emoji for structuralists, heart emoji for feminists, wow emoji for moralists, and like emoji for Marxists. Number 1. The connection between and among women are the most feared, the most problematic, and the most potentially transforming force on the planet. Your timer starts now. Time is up. The answer is heart emoji or feminists. Remember that feminist approach focuses on the roles, positions, and influences of women within the literary texts. Let us now proceed to number 2. While I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping. This was taken from The Raven and was written by Edgar Allan Poe. And your timer starts now. Time's up! Now if you answered smile emoji, then you are correct. This passage shows the use of figures of speech or the figurative language. In particular, it uses alliteration, which is the repetition of the consonant sound. Proceeding to number 3. The bigger the government, the less the citizens do for one another. If the state will take care of me and my neighbors, why should I? This is why Western Europeans, people who have lived in welfare states for longer than Americans have, give less to charity and volunteer less time to others than do Americans of the same status. The author was Dennis Prager. And your time starts now. Time is over. The answer is the like emoji. Awesome. Now, take a closer look. Marxist approach emphasizes economic and social conditions. It examines literature to see how it reflects in the society. Good job, virtual learners! Now, if you have any questions or clarifications regarding the lesson, you can type in the comment section. A minute will be given to type in your questions and the teacher moderator will gather them. Your timer starts now. The first question is from Malanday National High School. Why is it important to use critical approaches in literature? And for your answer, it helps us to appreciate the relationship between authors, readers, and the texts. The act of literary criticism improves the enjoyment of our reading of the literary work. Our question number 2 is from my son National High School. Is feminist approach used for selections which are written only by women? The answer is not necessarily. In fact, feminists focus on the ways female consciousness is written by both male and female authors. The third question is from Genti De Leon National High School. How can literary criticism help in understanding literary selections? Well, literary criticism helps us to understand what is important about the text, the structure, context, and how the text manipulates the reader. Moreover, it helps us use our critical thinking skills in analyzing the texts. You all have been amazing today. For questions which are not addressed today, they will be answered by your subject teacher during your follow-up discussion. It seems you have understood the lesson today. Well, why not try to practice more by answering some activities in your module? Oh, by the way, I believe that Jasmine is already in the palace. We're able to answer the question for her assignment. Am I right with that? I hope you agree with me. Thank you to our technical team and teacher moderator who made this learning engagement possible. And grade 10 learners, thank you for attending today. This has been Miss Flordenal Isaac, your live streaming teacher, saying keep safe, stay home, and God bless. See you in the next Valenzuela Live!